Hey there, it's Elisa, Half Asian Tarot Queen, and yeah, this isn't my normal MO, but like I'm kind of getting like an intuition that I should do one bonus reading this week. Oh my gosh, Debo on the bottom of the deck. Because there's been all this drama and like some toxic situation that's being turned on its head, and like major climax happening this week. And so it's just sort of like I don't know, I just got an intuition that I should do like one bonus reading because it's been it's sort of like okay, so this is what it reminds me of. So one of my best friends, Amber, she gave me this book, which is like one of my favorite books of all time. So maybe this is relevant to someone's situation, but it's this Japanese author. I'm half Asian, so I'm half Japanese, and his name is Murakami. And so the book is called The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, which is one of my favorite books of all time. But the thing about his writing, which I love, is that I mean, he just has this way of like weaving all these threads together. And so it's kind of like what I feel like is happening with the readings right now. So there's like all these threads that seem unrelated. Like there's this player, you know, ladies man guy, you know, who's coming up in some threads. There's this King of Pentacles who's just sort of like held it down, like nose to the grindstone. You know, there's like some sort of like epic love story that's being oppressed, and meanwhile there's like some empire that's being born out of all of this. It's like Shogun, you know, or something. Oh my gosh. And then at the bottom of the deck we have the Two of Cups. So there's some epic love story that's unfolding, you know. But so the thing is with Murakami books, it's like, you know, it starts out like each chapter, like there's many threads, you know, like there's this one character doing one thing, you know, another one, but then like over time, it's like a recurring theme. Like each of these threads like is evolving in its own way, but then like at the denouement, like at the climax of the book, like all of the threads come together. Like all these characters that seem unrelated come together in this huge climactic moment. Where it all makes sense, and you're like, oh, you know. And so that's kind of what it feels like is happening. And so for whatever reason, like I just got this intuition that I'm supposed to do an extra reading. So I just pulled some overall cards for this reading. So this Seven of Wands, this came up yesterday again. So obviously there's some super huge drama that's happening. There's a lot of resistance. You know, the reading that I did for yesterday was just like, you know, there's winners and there's losers, and, you know, there's this big shift that's happening and not everyone's happy about it. So like there's definitely a lot of resistance to the change that's happening. And then there's like the Temperance card. So like maybe this is a sign that, you know, the drama's like starting to settle out, because there's yeah, so drama settling out. And then the Magician, you know, so like this is like a card of manifestation, you know, where you know, you've turned lead into gold, and you've kind of like taken all these elements and created this new beginning. So that's really interesting because, you know, one of the recurring themes that's happening in all the readings this week is like, you know, there's this empire that's being born out of the ashes of some sort of destruction and some sort of huge drama with all these fireworks, you know, but maybe that's starting to settle out, and, you know, we're starting to get past the resistance, you know, towards whatever's next. But we'll see what the cards say. I'm going back to the Serpentine Tarot deck, which is, I've been on this kick where, you know, I've been pulling the like main energies from that deck. So this is my cat. Her name is Aiko, which means love, little love in Japanese. She's my little love kiddo. She's like very loving. So she kind of shows up in a lot of readings because she just like, she's all about the loves. So yeah, I'm going to pull some cards for the overall energies of the reading. And see if we might tie some of these threads together, because it's like, it's definitely been an exciting week. So, you know, see if some dust is starting to settle so that we can start to see our path forward, you know, because, yeah, like, you know, it's like you can only stomach so much drama before it, like, it has to settle out, and we have to start, you know, on a new path. Okay, so there's definitely some characters that keep coming up. Definitely some characters that keep coming up. Okay. So, we have Ten of Pentacles, the Knight of Pentacles, and the Page of Cups. So, I think this card kind of speaks to this empire that's sort of being built, that's kind of coming up out of the ashes. That's definitely been a thread that's coming up. Then we have the Knight of Pentacles, and he was like kind of showing up a lot last week. And so this is sort of like, this is like forward movement, like, and this kind of speaks to what we were saying, you know, with like maybe the drama's starting to settle out enough that like we're starting to like move forward again. But it's not like fast, like this is not like a rash, you know, action. Like this is kind of thought through, like a thoughtful, slow moving, methodical, but like, you know, stable kind of action. And then the Page of Cups, which this is sort of like an offer of love, you know, but it's not like a super big offer. It's just sort of the beginning. It's like the beginning, like, you know, like let's have coffee, or, you know, something not super huge, but, you know, moving in the right direction, you know. So it kind of sounds like, you know, maybe we're starting to see a path towards this new beginning, and it starts with, you know, one small step for man, but one giant leap for mankind. Is kind of like that, you know. It's just like you got to start somewhere, you know. So, you know, we're keeping it close to the earth, and we're you know, we're being real about it, you know. We're not, it's not like a pie in the sky sort of like effort, you know. It's realistic. And then we have the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Swords, and the Knight of Pentacles, or Nine of Pentacles. This card has been coming up a bunch, which this is the whole Frank Sinatra song that's been coming up, you know. And so it's interesting because we've got these two queens here, and like I mentioned in another reading, like part of what triggered this whole issue to go down was that this Queen of Swords, which is the no-nonsense queen who's not taking any guff, like she's done, you know, and she kind of like drew a line in the sand and was like, enough is enough. I'm not doing this anymore. Like, you're not building crap on my back. Like, this is what I need, and this is what I'm gonna take, and I'm not selling for anything less than that. And then it causes this whole firestorm of stuff to erupt. And then there's this Queen of Wands, which is sort of like this passionate, you know, fiery queen, you know, super passionate. So it's almost like, because I was talking about in an earlier reading, you know, that it was like Dynasty, and like this is a major drama that's going down where Alexis and Crystal are having a cat fight, and they like end up like in the pool, you know. And so it's like almost like there's this showdown going down between these two queens, you know. Like one of them is just like this older, kind of like wiser, like been around the block, and is like kind of played her cards in a smart way because she just, she's just a little bit wiser. And then there's this other queen that's just like all passion, and it's just all passion and like, that's where she's coming from, and so it's just sort of like a battle between these two queens and like who's going to emerge, because there's obviously going to be winners and losers in this equation, and it looks like it's going to be the one that kind of did play the Frank Sinatra song, who kind of just kept her nose to the grindstone, like focused on herself, like didn't engage in the drama, was just like, nope, not doing that. And then that's the queen that's going to come out on top, after this cat fight. So that's kind of interesting. I'm going to pull 3 more cards of guidance because this is some interesting epic stuff that's been going down for sure. But yeah, you should definitely check out Murakami and the Wind Up Bird Chronicle. Like, that's a great one, that's like one of my favorite books of all time. Okay. Interesting, because I was gonna say, like there's this total stalker in the book, it's like one of the threads, and the stalker card comes out. So we do also have a thread, on the channel about stalkers, because there's definitely been some stalker energy that's been like plaguing this whole, it's a thread that's been coming up. So like it's interesting that it comes out in this whole. So we have the Knight of Wands, which this knight has been coming through a lot this week too. And this is like a fast-moving knight energy, and it's coming through with some sort of message of truth. So in a lot of the readings that have been coming up in the last week, it's like this knight's coming through town, blazing through with some message of truth, and this is like what's triggering a lot of this shift to happen, And so, he's coming through with this message, and it's just like, almost like this stalker is being outed, and it's just sort of like, that's pretty interesting, because it's like almost like this, there's been some sort of oppressive energy that's been oppressing all of these people and causing, the holdup between this empire sort of being born. And it's like this stalker is being outed, which, that's very, very interesting. And, but, at the same time, if you go back and look at the stalker threads, like, is talking about, different kind of energies that can like trigger that kind of situation, and, attracting that situation to yourself. But I'm super intrigued by this whole, stalker element that comes out at the end, because, for sure that causes like all kinds of oppression in people's lives. Like I've personally like had like really debilitating situations, happening from, stalkers, and, kind of like trying to like manipulate outcomes of situations, using sort of like toxic strategies, and so yeah, you got to bring that stuff to the light, and you can't let that like negative foundation be, it's not a foundation that you can build upon, so it's just sort of like, if you want to build an empire on a solid foundation that's going to last, like you kind of have to build it on good karma, because nothing that's built on bad karma is gonna survive the trials and tribulations of life. Okay, so I've got 2 cards here to end the reading on. Desert Passage, trust that there's a divine plan. So yeah, like obviously there's some major karma coming into play this week, and it's coming to a head. And then infinite abundance. Abundance is pouring into your life. So, you know, this is interesting because it speaks to this empire that's being born. You know, we're outing some kind of negative situation, turning some sort of bad karma around, and like this is allowing for the birth of this new era, and this dynasty, this infinite abundance. So it's exciting stuff. I'll be back tomorrow with the weekend love reading. I'm really excited to see how this all plays out, but it sounds like, you know, everything's moving in a positive direction. And even though there's a lot of fireworks, like, sounds like, you know, overall some good changes for a lot of people. So hopefully you're on the right side of karma, and I'll be back tomorrow with some more messages.